My name's Evan Dobos, founder of CivicLift. I am now pretty much a solo show based out of Litchfield County. And I've been building technology to grow culture and economic development. Essentially, we provide our technology to cities and towns, any sort of community-facing initiative like Main Street initiatives, economic development, tourism, and we power them with our technology to run their operations.
Everybody here?
Okay, the problem is basically our cultural data, such as local events and places of interest and stories from communities, are both everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So as a resident or a visitor, finding local events right now is basically going on a scavenger hunt. Think about if you're just trying to find something to do in your town for this weekend, you might have to go to a Facebook group or the library's website, or you have to go to a Main Street initiative, and you have to go to 20 different resources just to find out about the town that you even live in. And on the other side of that is as an event host or a business owner that's hosting an event, trying to pull in business into their small business, you have to spend the time to manually post these things to every channel you can possibly get your hands on, and that's a big time sink as well. And both of those are unrealistic to expect that anybody would actually do. Business owners are busy trying to run their own business, and residents and visitors are busy with their families. So the result is a lot of culture goes undiscovered, and the local economy misses out as a result. Events aren't as well attended, and how many times have you heard about an event after it took place thinking you would have gone had you known about it? So how many people here are familiar with the real estate agency's MLS system? All right, great, most of you. Perfect. I like to bring up the MLS because what they're doing is they've created a centralized source that both aggregates all the housing and property data, and then it distributes that data to its stakeholders. And in their case, that's agencies and realtors and platforms like Zillow.com. CivicLift is essentially doing the exact same thing, but instead of housing data, it's cultural data, local events, places of interest. And we collect this on an ongoing basis, and then we feed it to our version of stakeholders, which are economic development, municipalities, tourism, and other sort of community-facing projects. So there's a coverage gap currently. And if we look at Connecticut's most funded source of culture and events is going to be CT Visit. That's the state's official tourism website. Gets a lot of marketing, gets a lot of energy put into it. And CivicLift has nearly 4 times the events, the upcoming events. CT Visit currently has about 1,640. We have 6,118 upcoming events just in Connecticut alone. And this is not a dig at CT Visit at all. In fact, it's trying to illustrate the fact that this could be a modern approach, and it should be platform-based. We just have to have a system. I think it's a $17 billion industry, tourism here in the state, and it doesn't have official infrastructure running it. CT Visit relies on people submitting events and are constantly pulling them in. And so we're doing that as well, but we also have other technology that automates a lot of that process. And then, as I said, we become a centralized source that can be used to power other people's initiatives. And so we're decentralized in that way, and everybody gets the benefit and multiply the benefits just by connecting into it. So it's the same state, it's the same audience, but it's different infrastructure, and that's the real point. I consider CivicLift as digital infrastructure. We're trying to be running in the background, just like the MLS is running in the background for housing sales. So as far as traction goes here in the state, we're already powering a lot of initiatives. We're actually powering 44 subscribed initiatives here in the state of Connecticut, and we have some more strategic partnerships as well, such as all 8 of Connecticut's regional district organizations, which are basically like the arts councils. So this is something we're pretty proud of because we got all 8 to go on board and switch to our calendar technology, and now we are powering each of their initiatives' calendars. And what's cool is because we're in every area of the state, we can work with individual towns and give them a version of the software as well. So we have both depth and width when it comes to who could be using and subscribing to our content feed. And at this point, we have about 145,000 events that have been shared through our platform, and that's just in Connecticut, and over 1.5 million monthly content views throughout the sites that we power. As far as retaining our customers, we seem to be a very sticky service. Once we're deployed and running a lot of the infrastructure, it's hard to get rid of it. So we have 95% customer retention, and the last 5% there is basically because the initiative we were working with has phased out. So it's never been about no longer needing our service or switching. In terms of revenue, we are growing. We hit $230,000 in revenue last year, and we're still 100% founder-owned and completely bootstrapped. I don't know why that came out so small, the text, but. So our content can be used, yes, we're focusing right now on communities and municipalities, but we can go way beyond that too, because if you can harness the cultural data, it could be sliced up and diced up in many different ways to power different kinds of initiatives. So yes, today we're focused on municipal economic development. We offer business calendars to individual businesses, so that opens up a new revenue stream. And we can even power a platform for something like totally different, like corporate recruitment. Because when a large company like Travelers is trying to attract a new candidate, their whole family has to make that consideration. So we can show what life would be like to that candidate on behalf of Travelers. And that's just another example of how you could use our data to do a completely different vertical. We also have regional and statewide analytics that regional and statewide initiatives can subscribe to, because we can provide more insights into the cultural data that were hidden before. So where we are right now, we've taken it from 0 to 1. So we're done with that part. Our factory is built, and now I consider the next step to be the expansion. We do have some expansion happening now, Florida, New York, and Massachusetts. And but I'm thinking, 0 to 1, I've done that. And then 1 to 10 is a totally different game. This is about different bets. It's a different skill set. It's a different understanding of how to do it, and that is where I need the help. So my ask is basically what I'm hoping to learn from this room: advice on a go-to-market strategy, connections to operators who have scaled SaaS business before, and basically strategic questions like, should I be changing my own focus from product and going into go-to-market, or should I be finding somebody for that? And who else essentially should I be talking to? Who are people who run initiatives? Who could help me spread the word that this infrastructure is here? Because it's pretty new, and it's kind of I admit it's kind of a difficult thing to wrap your head around at first, without a 10-minute at least demonstration of how it all works. So these are the things I'm currently considering. This, as well as when should I, or should I at all, consider and put forward efforts into raising money. I'm not sure. But thank you. I'll open to questions. Yeah. Yeah.
So I promote and produce a fair number of events. I'm very curious as to how your technology works. So you have sites that goes into your central repo, and then what is your output? Is that like an RSS feed? Do you have apps? Does it go to somebody's calendar?
Yeah.
Great
question. All of that. We have to be as flexible as we can when it comes to how we deliver. So some projects need it through an RSS feed to power a newsletter. Others have full-on websites, and we have an embed that they can throw on. Or we could just feed raw data into an existing calendar system. So we built it very flexible like that. But the usual output, what it looks like is, like for each of those arts councils that I showed you, we gave them an embed code. They threw it on their website, and we configure the embed code. So we'll say, okay, this footprint consists of these 20 towns. So we want these 20 towns, and then we want all the arts-related content. So that's the feed they get. And then they get to decide themselves which of these events should go on our site, and they just check it off. And so they're not doing any aggregation or collection, but they are just doing the curating if they want to do it. But if you go to an individual town, of course that scope is smaller, and so we say this individual town, but all events. And they might throw that up on their municipal site or their economic development site. So it's either raw data or we have a nicely designed calendar that they can embed, so it's more plug and play for them.
Who are your actual customers that you face?
Yeah, municipalities have been a big one, economic development offices, initiatives like Main Street initiatives, they'll subscribe to our platform, and yeah, the Arts Council. So anybody who's trying to promote culturally a region or a town, and they subscribe for that reason.
I'm going to let some other people ask questions before I keep going.
Sure. Happy about it. Yeah.
Are you well connected with the CT tourism office? Or would you like to be better connected?
I would like to be better connected. They know about us. I think there was an offer at one point because all of my users, we have tens of thousands of users at this point. They're asking me, what other sites can this go to? Because a cool feature, when you're submitting an event and you're filling out a form for the event on our site, it shows you what websites we're going to push your event to. So they feel like they get a media blitz just by submitting a form once. And you can see how that's an improvement on what the alternatives is. And of course I get asked, can this also go up to the CT Visit or other regional sites? So technically speaking, yes, but of course you need to establish those relationships and have those conversations. But yeah, that's the hope. I'd love to pass things up. I wouldn't have to replace their calendar. In that case, that would be like probably a data feed of some kind, an API or something plugged in directly so they don't have to change anything on their side. But that's a good example of how the delivery mechanism changes and we make sure it's flexible so that we can fit anybody. Yeah?
How quickly, because I work in the entertainment industry, I do a lot of live events.
Oh, cool.
I do DJing a lot of audio engineering. How
Nice.
quickly can an event time or information change on your website or wherever they're getting it versus when the person putting it up changes? Because events very commonly change, there's postponing. How does that work?
Yeah, we leave it up to the event organizer. So you create a CivicLift account, you have all the events you've submitted, you have all the events that are coming up, and you could change and edit them however you see fit, and then that immediately updates the whole network. So immediate. Yeah.
So in terms of the workflow, continuing that thought, I have events. Do I enter it first into CivicLift, or do I enter it first in either LinkedIn or Facebook, and you scrape that content? How does that workflow work?
Yeah, ideally. Some people don't know about that we're powering the calendars. Some people don't know that it's a CivicLift calendar, but they'll go to the Submit an Event button. And then that's where they'll be onboarded into submitting your event, and that's through a CivicLift account. So they figure it out that way. But we also have automations with things like LinkedIn and the big boys like Eventbrite and Meetup and CitySpark. So there's other large aggregators that we pull events from. And then when there is a special case like Warner Theater in Torrington, for example, they have a proprietary ticketing system. We're not going to mess with their calendar at all, but they wanted their events on our platform, so we'll build a crawler scraper for their site and automatically pull them in too. Yeah. We're actually working in Northwest Connecticut. We're actually working with their 21-town effort of the America 250 campaign. And so that's a really good example because a lot of them are posting their events on libraries, some are posting them on the state version, but just Northwest Connecticut wanted to launch their own site for it. So we queued our crawlers and we built our platform for them, and now they have that they can embed on their site. So yeah, it's like a three-pronged approach. It was always about removing the dependencies. Like, you can't expect everybody to always have time to make submissions. Right, so we have to automate that. And then you can't expect anybody who's already throwing it on Facebook or already throwing it on Eventbrite to have the appetite to go to yet another place to submit it. So let's pull those in automatically. And we even went one level deeper now where we're offering individual businesses a version of our calendar that can live on their site that only shows their events. So what that means is swap out your current event calendar with ours, submit your own event to your own website, and by doing so, it automatically goes to the network. So they're already making a submission once. Might as well do it through CivicLift because that's going to power my website and submit it to these 12 other websites in one step. I don't have to do anything extra. That's kind of a new thing that we have rolled out in the past year. Yeah.
Have you been reaching out to organizations like CBIA, CT Tech Council, all these different organizations that have a lot of business information?
No, I haven't reached out to those two that you mentioned. I did go through I saw Reset on here. I did go through the Reset Accelerator a long time ago. And that was my experience with that, excuse me. And, but I don't know much I've been so, heads down in front of my computer screen. Yeah, I'm trying to open that up now, so I'm eager to hear about these groups and happy to meet with some. So.
Yeah, highlight on that would be Metropolitan Lions, Chamber of Commerce, people that work with a lot of Main Street businesses, Small Business Council. One of the most painful things I think about living in Connecticut is you hear about some great event and you're excited to go and you ask when it happened and they say it happened last week.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's me or no, that's a statewide thing. Has been for years. So I think in terms of your question on when do you need to scale, I didn't see a team slide on here, so I'm assuming this is you.
It's been me and developers that I've hired and pulled in and out depending on the need of the build.
Okay.
I've been really empowered by some of the AI technology that has come out and am able to build some of these things and move a little faster, and so is my team. But it's kind of a morphing, moving thing depending on what the current needs are. Yeah.
And now you're going from a sort of build step into more of almost like a franchise model.
It could be that way, yeah. Yeah, every line of code we wrote, we did so anticipating that it would be as big as the MLS someday. If we wanted to, we are in other markets that we just deployed in Florida and just for a district down there. And it was wonderful to see our system work just as fine down there. And it's, as I said, the factory is built. I could churn these out. I could have a new calendar for Hartford done by the time we all sit down to dinner tonight. It's that efficient, and it's already that well hooked in. And in Connecticut, that makes sense because we're already pretty well saturated here. But even if we went to a brand new market like Florida, then we have our integrations with the big boys. We have our crawlers we kicked off. They told us who important players are. We crawled their calendars, and then within a week's time, they had launched their calendar, and that's that. Yeah.
So we have 2 events we'd love to put on your platform and see how they go.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Contact info, we just go and shake hands and start working together.
Sure.
I have a couple of calendars I'd like to talk about as well.
I would love that. Absolutely. Yeah.
When it comes to regards to the reach that you can see with at least users, you put up an event, how many people do you think can, on average, would see that come up?
Yeah, that's a great question. It does depend on where the event's happening and what the category is. But the other side of this is that we get to show the event submitters the traction they're getting. And so they'll see, it got this many views on this site, it got this many views on this site, and as a total, it got this much exposure. And that's just so much more insightful than the metrics on your own website, for example. And when you in Litchfield County, we have the whole Arts Council. We run a region-wide project called Discover Litchfield Hills. We work with many of the individual towns in there. And so that's there's probably 12 projects happening right in that area and a lot of overlap. So but that's good because now we're not trying to get people, you don't have to rely on people knowing about the discoverlitchfieldhills.com website. They can go to any of those sites and they still find what they're looking for. I think this whole let's compete over traffic model is tired and old, and now that we can centralize the source and decentralize the spread of it, I think that's going to be much more powerful on the bottom line of visibility, how much it's being seen by people online regardless of where they're finding it, because nobody cares where they find it, they just care that it is found, right? And then of course the economic development impact that comes from that, not just more exposure, but also saving a bunch of people's time who have limited resources to promote what it is they're trying to do. So yeah, we show a lot of the metrics, and it really does depend on what the event is, but we've had 10,000 views in a week for an event before, pretty commonly, so yeah. Yeah.
Have you explored like an ads or a promotion for your event business model?
Like pay more to have better placement for your event?
Possibly, yeah. Or is that not necessarily work being the central database model?
We've definitely thought about that. I've shied away from that because I don't like the paywall aspect. And also, I have to think about the fact that this event is going to be spread out to other initiatives that I don't know what all their policies are. And so if I'm showing favoritism or like giving favoritism to a business, and the person who owns the website might not have wanted that for some reason, I just think there might be a little conflict there, or it could lead to a conflict. I keep on going back to the MLS, right? The realtor who gets their website populated with homes for sale, they can bump it up themselves and promote things like that. So we allow we call them curators, the people who own the sites we power, we allow them to escalate, but I've never thought of doing a transfer of, or pay-to-play kind of situation with that because of the complexity involved with that. But it's not off the table. I would just have to sit and plan it properly. I'll probably interview a lot of my curators now to find out what they think about it, you know. Of course, we also give them tools to power their own newsletters. So even in the newsletters, we've had some customers who have been sponsored by a bank, for example. And so they'll put the logo of the bank and they'll highlight their events in their newsletters and on their website. And I know some towns, that's how they pay for our subscription. So it's kind of a wash for them in the end, but they get to provide the support for the businesses.
Time for one more question.
You mentioned the library. I work at the library in Hartford.
Oh, perfect.
So are you already collaborating with them, or?
No, not the Hartford Public Library. No, I like libraries because usually they're running off of a handful of different platforms. I don't know if you're familiar, like Biblio is a really big library platform. They all have formatted calendars that we already have integrations with, so that would be an easy way to share your events. And yeah, for example, if they're art related, then they're going to show up on the Greater Hartford Arts Council's website, and that's all automatic, and maybe that gets more viewership of your events.
Great. Well,
Yeah,
thanks, Evan,
perfect.
for-
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.